Everybody, welcome to the show. Sorry that we're running late tonight, but I had some late clients, and my lovely wife, had been doing some traveling, and she just wasn't up to doing the show tonight. And I did have some time after the clients, so I signed up to take my second week in a row after retiring from the group. I'm going to turn the light down here. I got some throat drops. I'm prepared for this this live stream here. I've got 6 things to talk about, and then we'll go with your questions and comments. I hope that everybody is well. Hi, Kate Nadine. Hey, Jackie. Hey, Diana. What's up? So, I'm a little off kilter, to be honest with you. While I was seeing these last several clients, I got a, oh, hi, Michelle Johnson. You got a new name on YouTube. I got a message from my family saying my nephew's house had burned down, and his little kitty cat died in the fire. So I'm a little shooken up. This was a house that I was in negotiation, and I didn't know if it was going to work out, but we were going to move family tree to this house because it was a good location. I was going to rent it from my nephew. So yeah, so I'm a little shooken up. I haven't had a chance to process and connect with family about it, but we live in a world where houses burn down, and people, they shoot people at concerts. So why don't we start with that? I don't know if you guys saw the interview with the brother of the man who shot the people in Las Vegas. Anonymous, my nephew's house burned down. That's what you missed. So, and he was just saying he couldn't believe it. He didn't know his brother was capable of that. He didn't see it coming. But he did mention that their father, Sarah says, why was he smiling? You're talking about the brother? Why was the brother smiling, or the shooter? So the family background of this shooter is his father was a bank robber, and he broke out of prison and was on the run. So why was the brother smiling? I don't know. Tell me, Sarah, what are your thoughts about why the brother was... Their father was diagnosed as psychopath. Well, he was on United States 10 most wanted list, so he pretty much, I would think, had to be a psychopath. But yeah, the sins of the fathers sometimes are visited upon the children. I don't know if that was genetic psychopathology that was passed on, or just they grew up on the lam. They grew up running from the law, and this guy goes his whole life without breaking the law, and then this happens. So it could, in this case, it could be genetic. So So Sarah's saying, why was the brother smiling? I don't know. He did sort of throw a joke in. He said my brother would get these big box of cookies and bring them to my mother, and he sort of laughed a little bit about that. So that part seemed sort of odd to me. But the rest of it, I don't know. The brother, and maybe I don't read people right, but the little miss says the brother has a personality disorder. He came across as real charming, so maybe he does. Oh, why do people do this crap? I don't know. It just really made no sense at all. Who's having a big wedding tomorrow? Hey, Gilligan, what's up? Okay, so I got a question from, and I'm not going to say these folks' names because I was real busy this week and I didn't get their permission. So I got a question that just we'll call her Sue. And she asked, could you please talk about optimistic denial? Has anybody ever heard that phrase, optimistic denial? I had never heard it, and so I'll just tell you what I think those words mean to me. Is sometimes as codependents and as empaths. Oh, okay, malignant optimism. There you go. Thank you, Andy. I think that she was talking about is malignant optimism. All right, she called it optimistic denial. Andy's on the ball, man. Thank you. But what it is that you trust too many people. You don't see danger coming. You wear your heart on your sleeves, and you project onto people. Like myself, I was in a place of solid recovery for my relationship addiction. I was clean and sober for many years, and I was recently clean and sober when I got involved with my narcissist, but I projected that onto her, and I just trusted every word out of her mouth. I was malignantly trusting, malignantly optimistic. Malignant optimism can kill you. It just about destroyed me. It really did. So, another fella, he says, abuse by proxy is scary because it comes out of nowhere when these disgusting people ruin lives. Michelle says she shared the 50 symptoms video with a friend, and she cried in that video. It saved me. You know, Michelle, that video saved me too. That video, it took the heart and soul of my pain, and it sort of blazed a new trail for a new career for me. And it saved me by being able to figure it out and share it. It's like, this is what I know, this is what I found out. So let's go through and talk about, we'll call him Dave. Dave says, abuse by proxy scares you because it seems to come out of nowhere. I don't know if anybody else has experienced abuse by proxy. I'm sorry I'm not staying up with all the conversation because it's hard to do both. I don't sort of have a spotter tonight. But yeah, I experienced some horrific abuse by proxy, just horrific. And I didn't see it coming. I didn't know what it was. And I got a lawyer to try to protect myself. I'm okay. I'm better than okay. I'm really, I think I'm solid and I'm blessed and I know who I am. But I tried to tell the lawyer, I'm thinking this came from this really malignant narcissist that I just broke up with. I'm thinking that's where it came from. And people are so uneducated about the nature of narcissism that they just wouldn't believe such. I remember my lawyer yelled at me and said that wasn't it. But later he said, you know, Mark, you were right. It was that malignant narcissist that stirred up your abuse by proxy. But here's where I differ from Dave's paradigm. He says abuse by proxy scares you. It comes out of nowhere. These disgusting people ruin lives. You know, what I found is even when you experience narcissistic abuse directly, or if you experience narcissistic abuse indirectly by proxy, it don't have to ruin your life, folks. I got to tell you, one of the best things that ever happened to me was being narcissistically abused the first time. It opened me up, and it blew up my family of origin issues, and they just came pouring out of me. So I've been able to do more emotional healing in 2 and a little over 2.5 years than I did in 55 years. And then my second bout with an even worse narcissist, it pushed me down here to South Carolina, and I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it down here. It's just I get to walk, 25 feet to work, and then I get a break. I can go take me a nap, and then I must have went to the beach this past weekend 5 times, and it's just a sacred, wonderful place. Little Miss says she's so grateful for the narcissistic abuse. Emotional Detective says, is being subjective to a smear campaign the same as abuse by proxy? Yeah, absolutely. It's probably the worst kind. A smear campaign, for instance, using YouTube, is a very, very powerful form of abuse by proxy. Gilligan lives in South Carolina. Her favorite beach is Edisto. I don't know where Edisto is. Where is that? So, what I've been trying to do is embrace the learning from my own family of origin issues, and cry and heal, and then turn bad lemons into good lemonade, and turn something that somebody meant as harm into a blessing. Hi, Lizard. Hey, Robert. What's up, Robert? Robert says that his authentic self was buried, and through this process of narcissistic abuse, it's helped to unbury your authentic self, I think is what you're saying there, Robert. Jill, again, I passed the Isle of Palms the other day. I saw a sign for it. So, and I wondered what it was. So, a little tired tonight, a little hungry tonight. I was up till 4 o'clock in the morning last night. My lovely wife came home and we hung out together and went to the beach, went and ate some seafood, hung out. But there was a darn good football game on last night, and I sat and watched a football game, and then I had paperwork, and I just was wide awake. Jackie has a question. Can narcissists ever change or be truly remorseful? Lizard's a little down tonight. Me and Lizard, we're just a little down tonight. Why are you a little down tonight, Lizard? So again, Jackie, you probably know the answer to this already. And that is, it's not you're a narcissist or you're not. You're 100% a narcissist, you're 0%. There's all kinds of gray area in between. And my contention is that a low level, 20% narcissist, I think they can change. I think they can be remorseful. But you get up into the 65, 70, 75, 80%, no. They're just not capable of working on themselves. They're just not able to do it. So Lizard says, it's all good. I keep encountering narcissists, but I have repellent now. Hey, can we sell some of that repellent? And it's frustrating. I finally thought I met somebody the traditional way doing life, and then boom. His ass was a narcissist, I think is what she's saying. Let's get some narcissist repellent, and we'll sell it in little bottles. And then when they take the mask off, you spray it on them and they'll melt like the witch in the Wizard of Oz. I'm melting. That would be awesome. The repellent is called Boundaries, and it's free. Touche, little miss. The repellent is called Boundaries, and it's called Awareness. It's called, you got to spot them before they can put you in danger. And then you roll out your kick-ass boundaries, and they don't, get after you. Kelly says she'd rather be grouchy than depressed. Narcissist repellent. Okay. Also, I wanted to talk a little bit about, we talked about this a little bit last week. I'll come back. Malignant, covert narcissists, this is Kate and Nadine, are so good at their mask. I am the one blamed for smearing the narc on Facebook last year because 99% of them believe the narcissist is so sweet. And Kate and Nadine want some of that repellent. So it would be nice if we just had repellent and could spray it and it'd be gone. But getting healthy enough to have boundaries, that's a lot of work, folks. It's a lot of work. So, but I made this video called Be Careful with Too Many Details of Your Narcissist Betrayals. And just wanted to mention that again, because I was working with a lady this week, and she's found out some horrible things about her narcissistic husband. And I cautioned her, you know enough. don't go digging after more information. That was the thing that really slaughtered me, is I had 8 days to grill this woman. I had 8 days to grill this woman, and I just came up with so many horrific, traumatizing details that just be careful with that. Michelle says, bring out the tiger. I need strength. Andy says, you don't need to know all the details. Once you see a few red flags, get away. Jackie says, no more digging up bones. These details are not so much they're not so much the red flags about a narcissist. They're, if you've been in a relationship and they've been just a sex addict and a cheater and they've just done horrific things. Kelly had a question. All right, let me back up here. Thank you. I got my spotter. Jackie's my spotter. Kelly's question. There it is. When one is trying to set boundaries, can one get discouraged and want to quit trying? How do you keep on trying when it's so discouraging? One can really get discouraged when one tries to set boundaries. You know why? Because you're not equipped. Because you're not ready. Many years ago, I read a fantastic book on boundary setting. It was called Raising Capable People. It's about raising kids, but it works with your husband too. And it was all about allowing people to have natural consequences. And I had all my staff members read it. I had everybody who went to group therapy in our community read it. And you know what? The codependents couldn't do it. Some of the more counter-dependent people, more, in control people, they could read the book and do it. So, yes, Kelly, it's really easy to get discouraged if you don't have the fire in your belly to set a boundary. You don't have the sense of self developed. To set boundaries, you have to have... Mark is trying to be louder than everyone, and he's the only one talking to... Am I talking too loud? Let me know if I'm talking too loud. You got to have a solid sense of self. I just get excited about this topic. And you have to set boundaries ahead of time, and they have to have consequences. So if you don't have a solid sense of self, and you don't have fire in your belly, and you don't know how to communicate your boundaries ahead of time, and you don't know how to, have consequences, you're going to get discouraged because you're just not going to be able to do it. Okay. Check, he says, some of us are deaf and they want me to talk real loud. Kate Nadine says, I finally love me. That's a beautiful thing. Hey, for my beverage tonight, I've got this little, it's called Crush. It's like pineapple, and you put it in water, and it's like yummy. Last night, I was up at 3:30 in the morning, and my wife sneaks up on me. And she didn't mean to, but she about gives me a heart attack. And I was getting some of this pineapple drink, and she goes, "Hey, did you drink all that?" And I said, "No, there's a whole nother package." But she snuck on. If I'm dead next week, it's because she snuck up on me and I had a heart attack. So Michelle says, I feel screwed in life. Literally, I have an army against me. Nowhere to turn, and trust no one in my family or even my friends. no resources to move. How do you recover? Man, I remember that. You recover a little bit at a time. You put one foot in front of another, and you control what you can control. What you could do is exercise, which is good for your body chemistry and your mind. And you can cry, and you can watch YouTube videos, and you can interact with your community here on this show. So, Michelle, you're not screwed in life. There probably is an army against you, and there's probably not too many people that you can trust, but use the pain to rebuild yourself and to get healthier. Okay, Emotional Detective says Renda's funny for sneaking up behind me and about giving me a heart attack. Kelly says she's got the fire, but maybe not the sense of self. How do you find me? Okay, Kelly is making an early bid for really good questions of the night. She's killing the questions. Sarah says she's a Diet Sunkist girl. Is that good stuff? You got the fire, but you don't have the sense of self. How do I find me? It ain't easy, and it takes a long time. I just tell you what I've done. I found me by picking a sex addict, conscienceless, con artist, borderline, and then being destroyed and shattered when I found out who she was. And you know who I was? I was an infant who would cry until he turned purple. And I thought I was like a really smart therapist and somebody who made YouTube videos, but no, I was an infant who cried and turned purple pretty much. And I just cried and cried and cried. And your sense of self comes from healing your pain. And it also comes from, Kelly, it comes from building your life around a calling. When you have a sense of self, I was working with a fella today, and he's an artist. He's a great artist, but he didn't grow up with a sense of self. And he said he didn't know how to put words to who he is. I said, you an artist. But it don't matter if I say it. He ain't an artist until he says it. So part of your sense of self is building your life around your gifts and your talents and your work. And part of it is, eventually, hopefully, a healthy relationship. Elsie said, I only needed a good therapist and a bunch of videos to feel so much better. You can do it one day at a time. We're really blessed. We've got good health insurance. And so my lovely wife and I, who has no issues, by the way, she just goes to therapy for fun. I'll get to that, Kelly. We both have individual therapists, and then we started some couples work. And every couple who grew up like we did should be in therapy and recovery. Okay. Rise and shine. Greetings from England. Think of boundaries as standards if you struggle with them. Knowing your worth is the key. Self-love. Sarah says, my problem isn't knowing me, it's them who don't see me. They who don't see me. I disagree, Sarah. Obviously, there's some truth in you have to know the nature of the world. You have to spot wolves. You can't, as a lamb, go hang out with wolves. That part's true. But for me, the question was, of all the women on the planet for me to pick, why did I open my heart and soul to a con artist and a sex addict? You know, I didn't know me, and that's what got me in trouble. Me not knowing me helped me to misperceive her. Okay, y'all are coming up with good conversation and good questions. Gilligan says, the only thing that helped me was taking my dogs to beautiful places like parks and beaches. Having a good dog is a good recovery tool, I tell you what. Okay. Robert said he almost put himself in the hospital trying to do his own deep down work. Therapy really helps. Kelly says, I'm waiting on a referral for a psychiatrist to get to work for me. Well, that would be good. Kelly had another statement up here somewhere. Are there any good books that could help us find our sense of self? Not really. There might be some books specifically geared to finding your sense of self, but it just depends on who your self happens to be. If you have abandonment issues, read books on abandonment issues. I have a good one. And then there's Susan Anderson's book, The Journey from Abandonment to Healing. If you have shame, read books on shame from Brene Brown, from John Bradshaw. I've got a book on shame. Obviously, if you have been through narcissistic abuse, then, you know, the more you can learn about that, the better. But developing your sense of self is knowing who you are and where you came from. Let me show you what these family trees look like. When I sit down with a couple, I don't see just one person. I'm going to put this up real quick so you don't see no names. I see generations of people. So that's a family tree. Where there's 4 generations that we take down all on one piece of paper, and you get to know yourself by knowing who was your mom, who was your dad, who was your what was your role in your family system. So Kelly, yeah, there's good books that help you find your sense of self. There's about 100 of them, and I listen to them on my phone, and I just keep listening to one. A lot of my videos are about books or movies, and they've all helped me to develop and expand my healthy sense of self. Okie dokie. Sarah says, I am now ready for a new kitty. Kelly says, I see I need to do more work before and find out my issues and then move forward. Thanks, Mark. Sarah says, still I rise. I don't know if she was referring to that. That poem was just so powerful by Maya Angelou. You know, I should look that up and read it. I'm going to read y'all some poetry tonight. Sarah's cat died. I'm sorry. Lizard says, Mark, can you talk about sexual addiction and narcissism? Do they frequently exit one relationship and enter another, or have affairs, or both? If it's a somatic narcissist, you know, not so much in their head, but more in their body, they're highly, highly sexual. And yeah, they're many times involved with people during the relationship, and they go from one to another to another to another, and they're just empty vampires looking to occupy, you know, another soul, you know, and to use sex as a way to do that. So I'm going to read you "Still I Rise." This is one of my very favorite poems. Let's see if I can get it here for y'all. Okay. So this poem by the great poet Maya Angelou, you know, is about racial abuse and inequality and slavery. And my daughter is a 21-year-old graduate student in social work, and she read my book on narcissistic abuse, and she thought me using this poem for what I went through. She says, what your pain went through can't be compared to slavery, but those of us have been through narcissistic abuse and the trauma and the shattering that goes with it, I beg to differ. So, okay, y'all are talking about kitty cats. Let me get a lozenge for my throat here, and I'm gonna drop some poetry up on you guys. Still I rise. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. So, Maya Angelou's speaking directly to narcissists and abusers. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I'm walking like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. I like that part. Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hopes springing high, still I rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries. Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awfully hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air, I'll rise. All right, now this next one is Maya Angelou. This isn't Mark Smith, so don't give me any crap about this. Yeah, she says, does my sexiness upset you? Does it come like a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of a slave. I rise. I rise. I rise. Woo! Damn. That's a good poem right there. Little mist setting off little firecracker thingies. You know what? The pain that we went through, it's, in my mind, you know, it's trauma. It's trauma. And our pain is just as real. And what I like about the poem, it says, you know, no matter if you knock me down, no matter if you lie about me, no matter if you smear campaign, no matter if I have all these PTSD symptoms, I'm going to rise. I'm Superman. You know, I ain't backing down. I found fire in my belly. So take some of that fire with y'all. Put it in your belly. That poem almost makes me cry every time. All right, I got one last. This is more of a comment from last week, and she said I could share her question. Emotional detective says I am Superman. You know, there's a lot of days I don't feel like Superman. A lot of days I feel like a sad, wounded little boy. But all in all, as you develop your sense of self, you can become Superwoman. Trust me, you can. And Superman. So Gina says, hi Mark. Thank you for addressing my question about being able to cry on the live stream in September. It did help me because you said I can process the pain by screaming real loud in my car. I've done that and it seems to help. My grief counselor said to say the vows real loud and hold one as long as you can. And that moves the energy out of my body. I didn't know that. Sarah says, we're survivors. We're not survivors, we're warriors. We are warriors. This sounds so egotistical. One of my very favorite videos that I made, it was soon after my shattering, and I was in Michigan. What's that little town's name where my therapist, Paul Hartman, lived? Wasn't in Benton Harbor. Anyway, but I was in this little town. I was on a river, and it was raining. It was just coming down in sheets of rain. It was in the morning, but it was dark, and it was thundering, and you couldn't really hear me that well. And I was talking about being a warrior, and I'd say warrior, warrior, and it would make thunder light. It was cool. It was very, very powerful. If you haven't seen that one, I think it's called How to Be a Warrior in Recovery. Check it out. Gina says, you also mentioned dealing with my addictions. I have plenty of them. I seem to switch them out. Internet, eating, shopping, maybe even some that I'm not aware of yet. In time, I will hopefully be able to process my pain and get substantial healing. Until then, I will keep watching you and doing my other work. Isn't that wonderful? That's a good email. All right, I'm going to back up and see what y'all been talking about. Rise and Shine is talking to Kelly. Imagine not feeling your pain. I bet that is even scarier than feeling it. We choose the familiar pain over the unfamiliar pain. That's true. Elsie says, I choose songs to help me deal with emotions. so much more rewarding than having an emotional manipulator playing with them. We do intensives now, my wife Brenda and I, and we had our first couple come get on an airplane. They stayed in a hotel, and they come during the day on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And the second day, I was sort of dragging my wagon. You know, I was tired. And while she was getting ready and putting makeup on, my wife was playing music real loud. She played Eye of the Tiger. And I just had her play it over and over again. And I was like fired up and ready to have that intensive, because that's one of the metaphors that I use is the tiger and the eye of the tiger. That's my recovery anthem, Eye of the Tiger. So okay. Sarah said a drink would work for me tonight. Anonymous says, but dude, if you're up till 3 a.m. all the time, no wonder you're tired. Good point. Good point out of you. That's one of my things is I got to work on getting more sleep, because I'm passionate about a lot of things. And a lot of times I just am focused on the passionate things and not doing the self-care of getting enough sleep. I got enough sleep the other night. I slept like 11 hours. That's hard. Okay. Kelly, you said it's easier, but you still need it. I don't know what they're saying. You're tired of needing it, but until you let that part of yourself die, you won't change. Gilligan says, that's a great song, Mark. I love me some Rocky. Susan A says, Roar by Katy Perry. I gotta write that down. I want to play that. I like Katy Perry. Okay. Michelle says, Sarah says she's about Neil Diamond. Well, that's cool. She's read 14 books and subscribed to 24 channels, and it's not easy to recover when you have no self-love to set boundaries. My parents have made me financially available, dependent on them because I'm on disability. Gilligan loves Neil Diamond as well. Rise Up, Rise Up. Who sings Rise Up, Rise Up? Rise and shine. I am saying I am at that point. It's time, and I think it's why I'm pushing so hard. So Kelly, it seems like you're doing some good work. You're asking some relevant, powerful questions. That's cool. What's the parachute club? Oh, that's the name of the group? I thought we were going to start a club where we all used parachutes and jumped out airplanes, and I was going to say, no thank you. I don't believe I'm going to join that club. But that's the people that sang Rise Up, Rise Up. No, I'm not jumping out of any airplanes. I'm sorry. So Michelle again says, all I do is read and watch YouTube channels. Why can't I heal? All these others on their channels seem to be doing great. They can get out of their situation. Rise Up by Bruce Springsteen. I'm writing all these down. I'm going to check them out. So, Michelle, it takes time. It seems like you're new to this recovery process. So, I remember early on, all I did was watch YouTube videos and listen to books like Psychopath Free by Jackson McKenzie. And if I wasn't listening to a book, I was watching a video or I was making a video. Hey, there's Sideways by the Highways. What's up, Dan? How's it going? Welcome. So people are given encouragement. I can't say your name. I'm just calling you Michelle. It is not amazing what brought us to this YouTube channel. What do you mean, Jackie, by that? About being brought to this YouTube channel. Andy says, there comes a time when you have to stop learning about narcissism because it re-traumatizes you and starts focusing on yourself. Dang, Andy, are you like a therapist or something? You say the most powerful, wise things. That's really true. And early on, learn about narcissism, watch videos about narcissistic abuse, recovery. But eventually, yeah, I quit watching a lot of YouTube videos simply because my focus wasn't learning about narcissism or even about narcissistic abuse. It was taking the next step for me, like self-care and having a dream to live by the sea and get married and, you know, make that happen. Okay. So Andy is training to be a therapist. He's a lawyer now. I think if you were a lawyer, it can be a good skill set to become a therapist. And that may sound funny for me to say that, but I get tough customers and I get tough clients and tough couples, and you have to have the strength and the articulation of a lawyer to get through to some folks. So, can you talk about overcoming fear of dating after being married to an abusive and narcissistic person for over 30 years? That's a fantastic question. So, Sharon, can you talk about overcoming fear of dating? Be terrified of dating. Don't get on dating websites. They're filled with really scary narcissists. So take time to heal. Take 2 or 3 years to heal. And then, date a friend of a friend or a friend of a friend of a friend. My son met a wonderful woman in San Francisco, and they have an app where it's associated with Facebook, and it's social dating, but you can only be matched with a friend of a friend. So there's some accountability. Be afraid. Look out for red flags. Surround yourself with community. If your friends don't like the guy, get rid of the guy. If your family doesn't like the guy, get rid of the guy. And then as soon as you are involved in the relationship and you start having the slightest problem, go to couples therapy. Call me and we'll start working on Skype, and you build a foundation and you find out if the person can do the work before you give them your heart. So US Mail 911 2001 says, I love your video. Say my name while I'm watching. I just said your name while you were watching. Okay. Linda said something sad, I think. Linda, my friend just died 3 weeks ago, unexpectedly. What do I say to them to comfort them? I don't know. What am I going to... I mean, that's horrible, and I send my condolences, but I've been wondering, what I'm going to say to my nephew, because his house burned down, and his kitty cat died. And I was just at his house just a few weeks ago. I don't know. It's not what you say, is do you have the empathy? I think people are starving for empathy. My wife is cooking for me. I don't know what it is, but it smells heavenly. I'm not going to talk the rest of the session. I'm just going to sniff dinner. Oh, I wish I could broadcast that onto internet. I don't know what it is, but it smells really good. People who are grieving just need a good listener, and they need to talk. That's true. They are starving for it, but that's why there is such a lack of empathy. That's true. Jackie said she had curried chicken the other night, and it was divine. Little Miss says it's not about what you say to comfort someone. It's about them knowing that you are there for them. Gilligan says, haha, Mark, Smellivision. We're here at the Smellivision. It smells really good. I'm going to try to stay focused. I'm not really that hungry because I was munching on nuts and cheese to get through my last couple of clients. US Mail 911 2001 said, cool, thanks, you mentioned my name on your video. That's funny. Somebody said something funny up here. Let me see if I can find it. They were talking about dating. Sarah said, my husband would frown upon me dating. I think it's entirely appropriate, Sarah, for your husband to frown upon you dating. Wouldn't be a good thing. Okay, so Jackie says, we have Tim Horton's pumpkin muffins up here. I don't know who Tim Horton is, but pumpkin muffins sound mighty good. So Elsie said she's trying to make better friends. That would be healthier friends. I don't think it's stew. I don't know. It smells like sausage and peppers. I don't know. I'll let you guys know next week, or I'll have Brenda, if Brenda does the show, I'll have her share. Okay, Rise and Shine says, Mark, what are your thoughts on limbic resonance when it comes to mate selection? Do we pick somebody to recreate an emotional intensity similar to childhood in order to access the wound and heal it? My thoughts are, this isn't my opinion. This is a fact. That what Rise and Shine just said is the God's honest truth. That's not my opinion. I'm telling you, nobody ever married the wrong person. And if you were wounded and abused growing up, you're going to pick somebody. You go in a room with if you're a woman, you go into a room with 100 men, and you're a young woman, and you were raised by a narcissist, and let's say 99 of them are really just lovely fellows who don't have a narcissistic bone in their body. There's no such room on the planet where 99 out of 100 guys are just perfectly healthy gentlemen. And one of them is a stone cold narcissist. Guess which one you'll think is sexy. So I've never heard it called limbic resonance. But yes, we pick people to recreate the emotional intent, not just the emotional intensity. We pick clones. We pick clones of the people who wounded us. My mother abandoned me when I was an infant, and she'd leave me in the yard and let me cry until I turned purple. And then she lavished her love and attention upon my little brother, Sammy, just, a year and 3 months after I was born. So what I needed was a narcissistic, false mother who never bonded with me, who would reduce me to cry until I turned purple because she gave her love to another male. And that's what I found. And it's all good. Didn't feel good at the time, but ultimately it's all good. Okay. Lightworker 621 to Elsie says, I feel so lost. I'm drowning in this situation. And Jackie says, run, Force, run. Sarah was maybe joking. Oh, with the stew. Yeah. It could have been stew. Okay, there's more on limbic resonance from Rise and Shine. As the brain radio frequency, if you were hurt at 106.3 FM, then you need a partner to recreate the 106.3 FM frequency to access that emotion and to access the wounded little kid. So Rise and Shine, brilliant. Absolutely, positively, the God's honest truth. Yeah, if I start whistling, I might pull out the rubber chicken. I can see the rubber chicken. He's right in front of me, but I might have to stretch to get him. So y'all be careful. You don't want no rubber chicken. Jackie says, why do some of us have targets on our backs when others seem to get away with everything? We have targets on our backs because of what Rise and Shine's talking about, this limbic resonance, where if there was a 12-year period that if you were in your 30s and you were hot and you were a borderline and you were in the neighborhood, I could sense your presence. And the weird thing is, in my 40s, I'm not the best looking guy in the world, but really attractive, crazy-ass borderlines just sort of flocked to me like I was smoking hot or something, because I had a target on my back, and there was something in their energy that needed me, and there was something in my energy that needed her. Michelle C. says her significant other was a sociopath and my father was not. Why is it worse? Well, Michelle C., we would have to dig into your family tree. I don't know, but I know there's a great amount of woundedness in your family system. I would need to look at several generations. I wasn't fishing for a compliment, Gilligan. I wasn't. So we would have to look at 3 or 4 generations back, Michelle, to find the answers. I believe you when you say your father wasn't a social. Maybe your mother was. I don't know. Maybe your grandfather was. But you didn't grow up with Beaver Cleaver and end up marrying a sociopath. It's just never happened in the whole history of the world. You don't grow up in a healthy family system and then marry a sociopath. It's never happens, never gonna happen. So you got some investigating to do in your family of origin. Robert says, oh, excuse me, I'm tired. I was up till 4. Did I mention that? Anonymous asked about the rubber chicken. I mean, they're hidden behind the flowers. I mean, what can I do? They ask about the rubber chicken. I mean, it's like the rubber chicken is being called to make an appearance on the show. So, Anonymous, this is the rubber chicken. And the reason I like the rubber chicken, Jackie, no. All right, is the rubber chicken makes a wounded inner child sound that'll make you cry. Get your tissues out. Get your tissues out. So here you go. He makes it better. He's sort of quiet tonight. I can't get him. So that's rubber chicken. Jillian says every time the chicken makes a noise, the dog starts looking around the living room. You could take a tent and show up in Mark and Renda's backyard, Robert. The silent scream, yeah, that's the chicken was making the silent scream. So Sharon Kelly, excuse me, what impressions do you have about the Las Vegas massacre suspect? And we talked about that early in the show, that his father was diagnosed psychopath, and he was on American's top 10 most wanted list. And he was a bank robber, and he had escaped from prison. And this man who was the shooter, I think his name was Steven, I'm not sure. He and his brother grew up on the lam, so to speak, running away from the law. So there might be some genetic things that went on there. Rise and shine, Mark, how difficult is it for a person used to unstable, dramatic relationships to be with somebody stable and without issues? Wow, Rise and Shine is making a bid for not only the chicken does need a little work. Making a bid for really good feedback and really good questions. it is hard if you grow up with a crazy borderline to be with somebody stable. In my situation, I grew up with an unstable, chaotic borderline. And then I was blessed to marry a really fine person, a lovely woman, more of a codependent. And we were, I think, pretty happily married for most of 27 years. But she was too stable and too salt of the earth. And there was a big part of me that longed for the drama and the intensity and my mommy. And I ended up blowing up that marriage so that I could be with psychopathic women who didn't really love me. But that's a good question. It is difficult to be with somebody safe and stable when you've known chaos your whole life. Jackie said, I've been told I grew up in a good family. Well, they might be a good family, but they're just not a... My wife's apologizing for the chicken. Hey, what's for dinner, honey? Maybe she could type in, what's for dinner? I want... Oh, it smells so good. What do we have for dinner? So she can hear the chicken. She's just in the other room there. We're not having chicken, are we? I don't know if I want to eat chicken after the chicken. Anonymous, who is responsible for the chicken tonight, grew up with a crazy borderline, had a great marriage 7 years until her husband died, and now have been getting into unsafe relationships, doing it backwards. Yeah, that's what I did. I did it backwards. So, where's Renda telling me what's for dinner? I want to know what's for dinner. Oh, here it is. We are having cheesy Tex-Mex, cauliflower, rice, and yes, there's chicken. The chicken's not very happy about the chicken part, but I'm pretty happy about the cheesy Tex-Mex, cauliflower, rice stuff. Oh, really lovely. So, guess what? It's 10 o'clock. I know we're supposed to start at 8:30, and everybody's come over to Mark's for dinner. We're over here by the sea. It's just really easy to find. But we started about 15 minutes late, so we'll go for 15 more minutes. So, okie dokie. I wish I was hungry. I might have to wait a few minutes before I nibble the delicious dinner. So, yeah, thank you for Renda for announcing to everybody that we were starting late tonight. So I appreciated that. So, Lizard is at work and missing out. Lizard, you missed the chicken. I busted out the chicken tonight. I wasn't trying to punish y'all for not having good questions. Somebody just wanted to be introduced to the chicken. So so Mark and Renda's family. My wife could run a restaurant. She's a really, really, really good cook. You know, Lizard, you say that the show made you laugh tonight, and Rise and Shine's from England. That's part of what I want to do. Is I'm at a point in my life when I'm really happy. Let's give the chicken a name. Who said that? Somebody said it. Anonymous says the chicken needs a name. I'm open to the concept of naming the chicken. Renda says George. I'm thinking Horace, but I'm open. So I'm going to make a list George, Horace. So if you Charlie, I don't know, Jackie. Charlie, it didn't seem like a Charlie to me. Fernando, I like that. Fernando. There's something very debonair about the name Fernando. Tristy. Heleneth. Forrest. Helen. I think it's a male chicken. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it's a male chicken, but anyway, I'm glad that I'm glad that the show makes you happy and makes you laugh, because excuse me. Triste, Spanish for sad. So Lester the Molester, no, we're not going with Lester the Molester, because I don't know, I'm at a place where I'm thriving, and I've risen from the dead, and I didn't think I could make it, and I'm filled with joy. So y'all can get some joy. Capon. Dan says, I sometimes ask why borderlines don't come with an alarm bell like the song Psycho Killer by Talking Heads starts playing. Sadly, too many of them would stay for the whole song. I stayed for the song, and it kept playing over and over and over and over again, and I stayed. Need one more throat lozenge. Rise and shine. Mark, do people have to up the ante in each consecutive relationship in order to break down their defenses and heal? Dang, Rise and Shine is killing the questions. Niles. Kelly says Niles. I think so, Rise and Shine. I think we do up the ante. The borderline that shattered me into a billion pieces was a Girl Scout next to the next woman I dated, as it turned out. So who knew? Yeah, so in my experience, I kept upping the ante and going from more dangerous psychopath to more dangerous psychopath. Okay. Okay, Frederick. Okay, I'm going to eliminate Charlie from the list, and Helen, and Capon. So, breakdowns whose defenses. If you date somebody and you need to reenact the wounds of your childhood, that's whose defenses get broken down. Yeah, there was somebody after the crazy cheating borderline, and that was the narcissistic abuse by proxy. She actually was nice to me during the entirety of our relationship, but then got some really horrific narcissistic abuse. Sydney, Felipe, Nicholas. We're having lots of options. Nick the chick. Xavier. Okay. Back here, Mark was answering it well. You have to increase the intensity in order to break yourself down. Limbic resonance and action. Sydney, if you squeeze him real hard. Okay. So I don't know that we can vote. Fred, my best friend's name is Fred, so I'm going to take Fred off the list. Okay, so I'm going to make a final list here. Sarah said Jackie, lots of laugh. Are you saying the chicken should be named Jackie? Is that... I don't know if we should sit on him. It might hurt him. So George, Horace, Fernando, that Triste one I can't say right. Xavier, Nicholas. Okay, so George or Horace or Fernando or Xavier or Nicholas. Oh, Sydney was a goof. I get it. Light worker, yes, it's bad. I'm with Jesus. No churches, though. Narcissists are in the churches. Boy, that's the truth. The person I was seeing wasn't ready for recovery, I don't think. He was still attracted to unhealthy people, but looks like he's being more careful now. Anonymous. You've almost got it. The E is pronounced like an A. Triste? Triste. Renda likes Fernando. I love Fernando. You have to admit that there's a debonair look to this chicken. Pierre's good, but we're gonna go with Fernando. So this is Fernando, the chicken. Fernando is easier to stay than Horace. That Horace didn't really work. Didn't really work. Fernando. He looks like a deer in headlights. Oh, I dropped my cough drop. Darn it all. Guess I didn't want that. I'm always having Fernando Smith. All right, Fernando Smith. Got it. Remember the one night the painting kept falling off the wall like 5 times, falling on Dorinda and I, and then so Billy Christo's video about You're Marvelous. It was about Fernando. This Fernando is marvelous. I'll tell you that. So, and then there was one night I was doing the show alone. I hit a button and it started playing what sounded like background music to porn. And I couldn't monetize that video because it was some kind of tune that, was somebody's creation. So, you know what? He could use a sombrero. Fernando is the most interesting chicken in the world. I'm just saying. So, okay, so we got 3 minutes. So, Chickadee sounds good. Hi, Susie. Hi, Miss Virgo. We've covered a lot of ground tonight. We started with a house that burned down. And then we talked about the horrific, murderous shooting spree in Las Vegas. And then we got into some good poetry by Maya Angelou, Still I Rise. I think somebody saw that on my wrist. Does ABBA have a song, Fernando? And then we answered a lot of good questions by Michelle, music lover, and by who was that? Who's been asking the great questions? Doggone it. Rise and Shine from England. So I think it was a fun show. We came up with a name for the chicken, Fernando Smith. And I hope you guys were given encouragement. I hope you were given some courage. I hope you got some fire in your belly. Kelly asked some great questions about boundaries, and we addressed that. Andy gave some really good feedback. I really enjoyed the show tonight, but I'm gonna go have me some whatever that dish was called, cauliflower Tex-Mex with rice and stuff like that, and I'm gonna go have some of that. So love you guys. We're here for you guys, and it'll probably be Renda doing the show next week, and maybe not the maybe we'll give the chicken a break. Jackie says I'm a lucky duck because I get to have the dinner. Jilligan, great show again, everybody. Much love. Kate Nadine is having chicken and chicken and chicken. Yeah, I'm gonna go to bed. I need to do some self-care. So thanks for watching. I'll be back, and I may not be back next week, but you'll see lots of me. I got some other videos in the hopper. I've got about 3 that I want to be making. So thank you for watching tonight, and God bless.